Hi, this is Eric Duhem for the Rebel.media. I'm currently here in front of the French consulate in Quebec City, the day after the election, the presidential election in France. And I want to analyze with you the results because they're quite surprising. First off, Emmanuel Macron with En Marche, a movement that didn't even exist a year ago, became at 39 years old the youngest president ever of the French Republic. That's such an accomplishment. On the other side, Marine Le Pen and the Front National were also able yesterday to convince 11 million people to vote for her. It's by far the best results ever of the Front National. It's 2 times more than the best results that her father had 15 years ago. So what we saw is, yes, those 2 people in a certain way succeeded yesterday, but the traditional political establishment in France completely collapsed. They were not even on the ballot on the second round. The socialists were not there. The Republicans were not there. We're seeing a new division, a new split in France. On one side, there's the Front National and Marine Le Pen that were saying, you know, we're in favor of France, we're against Europe. On the other side, you see Emmanuel Macron who says, I'm in favor of Europe, I'm against France at a certain extent. He says that France doesn't even have a distinct culture or identity. So it's a new debate that we see elsewhere in the world, but it was clear yesterday in France that that split is now there big time, and it's not gonna melt overnight. Which doesn't mean that Emmanuel Macron's mandate is going to be easy over the next 5 years. You know, we talked about the Macron leaks over the last few days. Well, those leaks might be a big problem for him over the next few years. There's a lot of material that hasn't been analyzed by all the media yet and by everybody, but I'm sure that when we see more details about it, it could put the new French president in deep trouble. There's also the Islamist threat that is always there. And because of his policies, Emmanuel Macron is in a vulnerable position, if I could say so. That's his weak spot, I would say. And we'll see how he's going to be able to manage with that. And as I underlined at the beginning also, he has no political parties right now. He needs to create quickly a coalition for the legislative elections that are coming up for the National Assembly next month. But you know how it is with politicians. You know, power is like honey with bees. It attracts a lot of politicians, and I'm sure that he's going to be able to have a coalition of sluts from all over the political spectrum. If you were a socialist in France today, how would you feel if your candidate did 6% and you're running for re-election? You would call Emmanuel Macron and try to say, I'm with En Marche now, and I want to run for you, man. You're my president. And we're going to see that also on the right with the more moderate part of the party of the Républicains that are also going to try to reach out to Macron. So he might be able, even with the honeymoon that he's going to enjoy with the mainstream media over the next few days, to have a majority at the National Assembly. We'll follow that for you in the next month. On the other side, it's not going to be as obvious though with the nationalists, the patriots, as Marine Le Pen called them yesterday, of the Front National. We'll have to see how many people on the right are ready to do a coalition with her. It's not going to be an easy task, certainly not in the short term. I don't think that is even possible. And before I end this video, I need to tell you one thing. There is people in France, just like me, just like many of you, that are more right-wing. Eh? We'd like less government, less intervention of the state, more economic freedom. And we have to admit that yesterday a lot of those people were orphans in France because there is no party, there is no politician right now that is clearly proposing such policies. Because even if they call Marine Le Pen extreme right, I'm sorry, but in terms of policies, economic policies, she doesn't want less government. And I mean, there's no politician that is reaching out to that crowd, and those people are orphans right now in France. This is Eric Duhem for Le Rebel.media.